So let's get back to implementing what we wanted to do with our asset. So if you remember, we had added that joint at the root of this barrel. And all we want to do is add the ability to scale this barrel in and out to give a kind of sort of a cartoonish gunshot effect. So how can we do that? Well, we have our asset here as packed geometry, and we know we want to edit that. So let's add an unpacked folder over here. Just move that over there. And in the unpacked folder, again, we want to use just the rig. Let's have a look at that graph. So here's our graph. And the node we want to manipulate is this guy down here. It's a transform object for that barrel root joint. And again, we're just viewing the graph. We're not editing it yet. But what we want to do is we want to promote this scale parameter. Because right now we can't do anything with this barrel root because it's just sitting there. It's in the hierarchy. It has a parent with a parent local. And its transform is being sent out to the point transform and then to the output. But we can't interact with it in any way. So if we put down apex edit graph, there's our little fellow there. What we want to do is we want to promote it by attaching its scale parameter. I can just grab that and throw that into our params node, just using the next input here. And you can see that that gets this little S. Well, that's not particularly descriptive, unlike these ones. So to change that, I'm going to middle click on this S, and now I can rename that. So I'm going to say that that's barrel root. Now you can see that the barrel root incoming goes to scale, and then the barrel root scale is recomputed, and the transform is sent to the update point transform, or set point transform I should say, and then that's put out in our skeleton. So having done that, we have one more step to do. We've taken our base rig, we've unpacked it, and then we've edited the graph that that base rig represents. So how do we get back to an animatable asset? Well, we need to pack this back up again. So if we say pack folder, now instead of, like we did up here, all of these inputs going into this second input, we already have a packed folder represented here by our asset, and we just want to append something. So we'll take the output of our original asset and put that into the first input, and that's the target folder structure. And I'll take the second guy here and into the packed folder. And this is very important to understand. We're modifying one of the components or one of the pieces of geometry that is packed in here. And so when we add this through the second input, we want to overwrite an existing one, because we don't have anything called edit graph 5 in our asset. We have base of type rig. So if I look at the rig tree for our original asset on disk. Whoop. We have our control shape library. Here is our base rig, and then base shape, base scale, guide scale. Then I'm editing the graph. This doesn't have a hierarchy, but now I'm repacking it. And I have control shape library, base rig, base shape, base scale, guide scale. So this base rig is the edited version of this one. And the edit is done down here. So now we have this as a packed folder. Get rid of that for a second. And if I use a scene animate, we should see, if I've done things right, we should see that everything works as it should. Turret aims and the little front legs will move. But if I go into my controls, I can see that I do have this barrel root, which I can select here, like that. And there we have a scale handle that I can scale the barrel. So we could animate that sort of getting ready to fire and then bang. But we don't have any kind of control. There's nothing for an animator to grab onto, and we don't want them to have to go in and select that every time. So what can we do? Well, it's simple enough to add a Apex configure control. We'll add a configuration where our rig source is our base rig and our guide source is our guide skeleton. So what we want is barrel root, get rid of that. We want to override the shape and the color. I think the color we want to be red. And the shape is going to be, what is it going to be? A box, wires. And there we go. There it is. We can leave the size as it is, or we could make it bigger or smaller. I think just that default size is just fine. And so now we can feed that into our scene animate. Just reset everything. And now we have updated this asset to have this functionality. So if we wanted to, we could just write this out to disk, just as we did in the first course. We wrote that to disk, and then we can read that in and put it into a scene animate. So an incredibly simple task, and we didn't have to do all that much work. We did have to add that joint, but then in the edit graph, whoops, all we had to do was promote that single parameter. So we took the scale and promoted it, and then we just renamed this input just to be a friendly name rather than just S. In the next video, we'll have a look at another way of doing this using what is called a component.